When a prophecy whispers power into your ear, how far would you go to seize it? Welcome, curious minds, to the dark, bloody, and endlessly fascinating world of Macbeth.
Indeed, and what a world it is. Today, we're embarking on a deep dive into one of William Shakespeare's most renowned and, surprisingly, most concise tragedies, Macbeth.
It really is compact, isn't it?
Oh,
But so intense.
absolutely. It's just famous for its raw, unflinching exploration of ruthless ambition and, its profound plunge into the very depths of psychological horror.
Absolutely. And the setting, this stark Scottish backdrop, it's not just window dressing. It's deeply rooted in actual Scottish history and legend filled with Scottish characters.
Right, and that was very deliberate on Shakespeare's part.
Oh, definitely. A very smart move, appealing directly to King James I. He just united the crowns, ruling both Scotland and England. So this Scottish play, a clever nod to the new boss.
A very clever nod. So our mission today for you is really to extract the most potent nuggets of knowledge from this timeless work. We want to unravel the core plot, trace Macbeth's, well, meteoric rise and terrifying fall.
And then dig into the characters, right? Their motivations, how they change, or maybe how they reveal who they truly were all along.
Exactly. Peel back the layers of their psyches. We'll uncover the enduring themes that make this play still hit so hard centuries later. Analyze the crucial, really unsettling role of the supernatural.
As witches.
Yeah, oh yes. And ultimately connect its timeless lessons to human nature and the challenges that, frankly, continue to echo in our own lives today. It's a journey into temptation, power, and, the inescapable consequences of our choices.
So let's dive in. Where does it all begin?
Well, with one of the most iconic, inciting incidents in all of Shakespeare, the witches' prophecies.
It sets the stage immediately. It does. Picture this. Macbeth and Banquo, two top Scottish generals, riding high after a huge victory. They've been incredibly brave, carving up the enemy, praised for their valor, even their ruthlessness in battle. Violence that's actually celebrated, ironically.
Initially, yes. It's sanctioned violence, battlefield glory.
Right, but then, boom, amidst the storm, this scene of profound unease, total mystery. They run into three eerie figures shrouded in mist and, well, paradox, the weird sisters, as they're called, the witches.
And that word weird itself is key, isn't it? From the Old English word, meaning fate or destiny, it signals right away that this isn't just a chance encounter.
Exactly. It feels like the natural world itself is off-kilter from the second they appear, hinting at, the unnatural deeds about to unfold.
It truly sets a chilling tone. These weird sisters, they don't just pop up. They seem to unveil a pre-written future for Macbeth. They hit him with three staggering prophecies.
Okay, break them down for us.
First, they hail him as Thane of Glamis. Okay, he already holds that title. That's the hook. It gives their words instant credibility.
Makes them listen.
Precisely. Then, they call him Thane of Cawdor, a title he doesn't have yet. And finally, the big one, the really chilling pronouncement. They declare him King Hereafter.
Wow. Okay. And what about Banquo? He's right there with him.
Ah, Banquo. His prophecy is just as loaded, full of this twisting, enigmatic quality. He'll be lesser than Macbeth and greater and not so happy, yet much happier.
What does that even mean?
It means his descendants, his lineage, will rule Scotland, even though he himself will never wear the crown. It's this incredible piece of dramatic irony, setting up future conflict and showing how fate can be both a promise and a threat.
And here's where it gets wild, because the witches just vanish. Poof, into thin air.
Like smoke, yeah.
Yeah.
Almost immediately after they're gone.
Right. No sooner have they disappeared than messengers arrive from the king, Ross and Angus, and they bring news.
The news.
King Duncan has made Macbeth the new Thane of Cawdor, just like the witches said, the previous Thane, executed for treason.
So prophecy number 2 fulfilled instantly.
Instantly. And this rapid confirmation, it just completely rocks Macbeth. It's not just talk anymore. It feels like destiny playing out right in front of him. You can almost see the internal conflict explode inside him.
Oh, it's palpable, isn't it? He voices it himself. He struggles with what this supernatural soliciting means. He asks, cannot be ill, cannot be good.
That line says it all, the ambiguity.
Exactly. If ill, he reasons, why hath it given me earnest of success, commencing in a truth, I am Thane of Cawdor? But then, if good, why do I yield to that suggestion whose horrid image doth unfix my hair, and make my seated heart knock at my ribs against the use of nature?
So he's already thinking about the horrid image, the murder.
Instantly. The thought is there, the ambition was clearly dormant, and the witches just, well, they flipped the switch. The prophecy gives shape to a dark desire that was perhaps already lurking.
But Banquo, he's not buying it so easily. He's the voice of caution here.
Very much so. He immediately issues this crucial warning about what he calls the instruments of darkness. He points out that they often tell us truths, win us with honest trifles to betray's in deepest consequence.
Honest trifles. Small truths to lure you into a bigger trap.
Precisely. It highlights one of the play's core themes right from the start. Appearance versus reality. Don't trust everything that looks good. That small truth, Thane of Cawdor, could be the bait leading to damnation. It's a vital counterpoint to Macbeth's almost immediate fascination.
So this encounter, it plants the seed. This dark desire starts to grow in Macbeth.
It absolutely takes root, and it intensifies quickly. King Duncan then heaps more honors on Macbeth, but crucially, he also names his own eldest son, Malcolm, as the Prince of Cumberland, essentially his official heir.
So a direct obstacle.
A huge obstacle right in Macbeth's path to the throne he now feels is destined for him, and Macbeth sees it immediately. He says, "That is a step on which I must fall down, or else o'erleap, for in my way it lies."
No ambiguity there.
Yes.
He either gives up or gets Malcolm out of the way.
Exactly. And then comes that chilling line. "Stars, hide your fires. Let not light see my black and deep desires." He knows his thoughts are murderous, and he wants them hidden. He's already embracing the darkness, even as he asks the heavens to look away.
With those black and deep desires fully awake, we pivot to the play's first truly horrific betrayal, the murder of King Duncan. And the driving force here, initially at least, is Lady Macbeth.
Oh, absolutely. She receives Macbeth's letter about the prophecies, and her reaction is immediate and, frankly, ruthless. She worries about his nature, what she calls his milk of human kindness.
She sees his conscience, his basic human decency, as a flaw.
As an impediment, a weakness standing between them and the crown. She doesn't hesitate. She famously calls upon these unseen spirits, "Unsex me here, and fill me from the crown to the toe top full of direst cruelty."
Wow. Unsex me here. She wants to strip away her femininity, her humanity even.
It seems so. She wants to eradicate her natural empathy, become this vessel of pure, focused ambition. It's like she's seeking a kind of demonic possession to steel herself and him for the deed. A terrifying moment of transformation.
And she doesn't just wish for it, she plans it. Meticulously.
She does. She's the architect of the immediate plan. Get Duncan's chamberlains drunk, drug their drinks, use Macbeth's daggers for the murder, and then plant the bloody daggers back on the guards to frame them.
Cold and calculated.
Extremely. And her instruction to Macbeth is just chillingly perfect for the theme. Look like the innocent flower, but be the serpent under it, and hide your true intentions, put on a show. It's all about that deadly performance of innocence, hiding the false heart.
The murder itself, though, Shakespeare keeps it off stage. We don't see Duncan die.
A very powerful choice. It focuses us not on the physical violence, but on the psychological fallout, especially for Macbeth.
Right. Before he even does it, he's hallucinating. That famous bloody dagger floating in front of him.
The dagger of the mind. Yeah, it's this terrifying manifestation of his inner turmoil, his guilt already bubbling up. It's unreal, but so vivid he tries to grab it.
And after the murder, the psychological cost is immediate and overwhelming.
Oh, completely. He's shattered. He can't say amen when he hears the guards praying in their sleep. He hears his voice crying out, "Sleep no more, Macbeth does murder sleep."
He's killed his own peace of mind. His innocence is gone.
Irrevocably. And then that desperate, agonizing question, will all great Neptune's ocean wash this blood clean from my hand?
He feels stained, permanently marked by the act. The guilt is overwhelming.
But Lady Macbeth, initially, she seems completely unfazed.
It's a stark contrast, isn't it?
Yeah.
Her first reaction is so pragmatic, almost disturbingly cold. A little water clears us of this deed. How easy is it then? She's focused on the cover-up, the practicalities. She seems able to just shove the guilt down, at least for now. But the world outside knows something is deeply wrong. The fallout is immediate.
Yes, the discovery by Macduff triggers this sense of cosmic disruption. People report an incredibly unruly night, strange screams, the earth itself shaking. There are even these bizarre accounts.
The horses, right. Duncan's horses supposedly eating each other.
Exactly, and a noble falcon killed by a mousing owl. It all reflects this deep-seated Jacobean belief that the health of the king and the health of the nation, even nature itself, were linked. Regicide, killing a divinely appointed king, it's a crime against nature, and nature reacts violently.
And then amidst all this chaos, Junkins' sons, Malcolm and Donalbain, they make a run for it.
Wisely, Malcolm heads to England, Donalbain to Ireland. They fear they're next.
But their flight looks suspicious, doesn't it?
It does. To many, it makes them look guilty, like they were involved, which ironically just clears Macbeth's path to the throne even more effectively.
So he gets the crown. But the crown, gained through blood, sits uneasily.
Very uneasily. His reign is immediately poisoned by insecurity, by paranoia, which leads us straight to the next horrifying step in his bloody rise, the assassination of Banquo.
Why Banquo, his friend?
Because of the witch's prophecy about Banquo's lineage. Remember, his sons will be kings. Macbeth is tormented by this. He feels he has this fruitless crown. He has no sons of his own to succeed him and a barren scepter.
He feels like he did all the dirty work.
Exactly. He says he's given his eternal jewel, his soul, to the common enemy of man, the devil, all for Banquo's kids to benefit. It's eating him alive, the injustice, the fear.
So, consumed by this fear, he decides Banquo and his son Fleance have to go.
He does. It's another calculated move to try and secure his position, to defy that prophecy. He hires murderers to ambush them. Another step deeper into that river of blood.
But it doesn't go entirely to plan, does it?
No, and this is crucial. The murderers kill Banquo, but his young son, Fleance, escapes in the chaos.
Fleance escapes, that's huge.
Monumental. It means the prophecy about Banquo's descendants potentially still holds true. The threat remains. And for Macbeth, whose paranoia is already sky high, this failure just fuels it even more.
And this paranoia explodes publicly, doesn't it, at the banquet scene?
Oh, the banquet scene, one of the most dramatic in the play. Macbeth is hosting this big state dinner, trying to play the gracious king, Project Stability.
Putting on the innocent flower face again.
Exactly. But then his guilt manifests in the most terrifying way. Banquo's ghost appears and sits in Macbeth's own chair at the table. And only Macbeth can see him.
So everyone else just sees their king freaking out.
Precisely. He's reacting in terror to an empty chair. It's this incredibly powerful moment of dramatic irony. We, the audience, see the ghost, we understand his terror, but the nobles just see madness, this public unraveling. Lady Macbeth tries desperately to cover for him, dismiss it as a momentary fit, an old illness.
Are you a man? She asks him, trying to snap him out of it.
Yeah, she tries her usual tactics, but the damage is done, his composure is shattered, his guilt is exposed, at least in his behavior.
In this moment, seeing Banquo's ghost, it feels like a turning point for Macbeth himself.
It really does. It's like the point of no return, solidified. He realizes he's waded too deep into this violence. He says it himself, chillingly. I'm in blood, stepped in so far that, should I wade no more, returning were as tedious as go o'er.
Basically, it's as hard to go back as it is to keep killing.
That's the terrifying logic he embraces. He's trapped by his own actions, and then that line, "Oh, full of scorpions is my mind, dear wife."
A truly visceral image of the constant stinging torment, the paranoia, the guilt infesting his thoughts. No peace left at all.
So from this point, it's just a downward spiral into pure tyranny.
Absolutely relentless. He's consumed by paranoia, desperate for some kind of certainty, some reassurance. So where does he go? Back to the source of his trouble.
Well, back to the witches.
Exactly. He seeks them out again, demanding more answers, more prophecies. It shows how much he's come to rely on this supernatural guidance, this dark counsel. He wants to control his fate, but he's actually becoming more enslaved to their tricky words.
And the witches, they oblige, but their new prophecies are, well, they're clever, deceptive. Masterfully deceptive, equivocal is the word. They give him 3 new prophecies, designed to sound reassuring, but laced with hidden traps.
Okay, what are they?
First, a straightforward warning. Beware Macduff. Okay, clear enough. But then, the confidence boosters. None of woman born shall harm Macbeth.
Which sounds like everyone, right? Who isn't born of a woman.
Exactly. It seems to grant him invincibility against any human opponent. And the third is that he's safe until great Burnham Wood to high Dunsinane Hill shall come against him.
A forest moving up a hill. Sounds impossible.
Totally impossible, or so it seems. These prophecies feed his arrogance, give him this dangerous, false sense of security. He latches on to the literal meaning, blind to the potential twists.
But they don't just give him good news, do they? They show him something else.
No, they torment him further. They conjure one last horrifying vision. A procession of 8 kings, clearly Banquo's descendants, stretching out into the future, with Banquo's ghost at the end, pointing at them, smiling.
Confirming his worst fear. His dynasty won't last. Banquo's line will rule.
Precisely. Macbeth cries out in agony, "Thy crown does sear mine eyeballs." It's the visual confirmation that all his murders, all his sacrifices, were ultimately for Banquo's benefit, not his own.
And his reaction to this and to the news that Macduff has fled to England? It's pure rage, isn't it?
Pure impulsive rage. He completely abandons any lingering restraint, any shred of his former self. He declares, chillingly, "From this moment, the very firstlings of my heart shall be the firstlings of my hand."
Meaning whatever pops into his head, he'll do it. No more thinking.
No more conscience, no more deliberation, just brutal impulse. And his first act under this new policy, ordering the savage murder of Lady Macduff and all her children.
Oh, that scene is just brutal. Pointless cruelty.
Utterly barbaric. It serves no strategic purpose. It's pure tyranny, violence born of fear and spite. It marks his complete moral collapse, the point where any sympathy we might have had for him just evaporates.
While Macbeth descends into this brutality, what's happening with Lady Macbeth, the one who seemed so strong initially?
Ugh. Lady Macbeth. The consequences finally catch up to her too, but inwardly. We witness her tragic, heartbreaking descent into madness. It culminates in that incredibly famous sleepwalking scene.
The hand-washing scene.
Yes. She's asleep, but reliving the horrors, compulsively rubbing her hands, trying to wash away imaginary blood, crying, "Out, damn spot! Out, I say!" and lamenting, "All the perfumes of Arabia will not sweeten this little hand."
The guilt has finally overwhelmed her.
Completely. Her subconscious is screaming what her conscious mind suppressed. She mutters fragments revealing her complicity. Who would have thought the old man to have had so much blood in him? And the Thane of Fife had a wife. Where is she now? Referring to Lady Macduff.
And the doctor watching this, he knows he can't help her.
He recognizes it's beyond medicine. He says she needs the divine, not a physician. He observes grimly that unnatural deeds do breed unnatural troubles, and delivers that famous fatalistic line, "What's done cannot be undone." Her mind is broken by the weight of their crimes.
Meanwhile, Macbeth is facing the rebellion. Alone.
Increasingly isolated, yes. His nobles are deserting him. He recognizes with this profound weariness and despair that his life has fallen into the sere, the yellow leaf, like autumn, decay, the end approaching.
He knows he won't have the things that should accompany old age.
Love, honor, obedience, troops of friends. He knows he'll have curses instead. It's a bleak self-assessment. And when he pleads with the doctor to cure Lady Macbeth, to minister to a mind diseased, he's almost pleading for himself too.
But the doctor's reply is blunt.
Very blunt. Therein the patient must minister to himself. Some wounds, especially those of the soul, are beyond external healing. It underscores Macbeth's utter isolation in his torment.
And then the witch's prophecies start to unravel in these unexpected, literal ways.
Yes, the final act sees them fall apart. First, Burnham Wood. Malcolm, leading the English army, cleverly orders his soldiers to cut down branches from the wood and carry them as camouflage as they advance on Dunsinane.
So from a distance.
It looks exactly like the forest itself is moving up the hill. The impossible prophecy comes true through a simple military tactic. Macbeth is shaken, but still clings to the other prophecy.
About no man born of woman.
Right. But then, news arrives, Lady Macbeth is dead.
We don't see it happen, do we? Just reported, possibly suicide.
It happens off stage, yes. And Macbeth's reaction is, well, it's devastating in its emptiness. It prompts that profound and nihilistic tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow soliloquy.
Life's but a walking shadow.
A poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage and then is heard no more. It is a tale told by an idiot full of sound and fury, signifying nothing, just utter despair. All his striving, all the blood has led to this feeling of complete meaninglessness.
But he still has to fight. The final confrontation.
The final battle. And he faces Macduff, the man he was explicitly warned to beware. Macbeth, still clinging to that last prophecy, boasts that he can't be harmed by anyone of woman born.
And then Macduff drops the bombshell.
The ultimate twist. Macduff reveals he was, from his mother's womb, untimely ripped. Delivered by cesarean section.
So technically, not born in the natural way.
Exactly. The final prophecy collapses. Macbeth's last shred of false confidence is shattered. He knows he's doomed, but he fights on, refusing to yield.
And Macduff kills him. The Avenger gets his justice.
He does. Macduff defeats Macbeth and later emerges holding Macbeth's severed head, presenting it to Malcolm. A gruesome but powerful symbol of the tyranny being overthrown.
And order is restored.
Order is restored. Malcolm is hailed as the rightful king of Scotland. The natural moral order that Macbeth violated is finally reestablished. The river of blood recedes, and the kingdom can begin to heal.
Wow. What a journey through the plot. Now let's really zoom in on these characters. Starting with Macbeth himself, the transformation is just staggering.
It really is. He starts as brave Macbeth, doesn't he? A genuinely heroic figure on the battlefield. His violence is praised, it's effective, it serves the king. He carved out his passage with incredible skill and courage.
A war hero. But
Underneath that, clearly, lies this dormant ambition. The witches don't plant it there, they just water the seed that already exists. They act as a catalyst, awakening these black and deep desires he confesses to almost immediately.
So it wasn't just the witches forcing his hand. He had agency.
Absolutely. The choice is his. The prophecy shows him a possible future, a shortcut to power, and he chooses to take the bloody path. That distinction is critical.
And after that first choice, the murder of Duncan, the psychological breakdown is swift and severe.
It's a terrifying spiral. The hallucinations, the dagger, Banquo's ghost, they're not just spooky effects. They're projections of his internal torment, his guilt made visible, at least to him. Hearing voices, Macbeth does murder sleep. He's losing his mind under the strain.
And you mentioned computational linguistics. That's fascinating.
It is. Studies have actually tracked the language he uses throughout the play. They show a measurable shift. His words start full of ambition, drive, but steadily progress towards despair, paranoia, negativity. It's like scientific proof of his psychological decay written in the text itself.
There's a weird irony, too, isn't there? He worries about overthinking things, but then becomes incredibly impulsive.
Exactly. He complains about time allowing for too much thought, yet as he descends deeper, he acts more and more rashly, often against his own better judgment. Like the murder of Macduff's family, pure, unthinking brutality. He goes from being this complex, conflicted nobleman to, frankly, an uncouth murderer, losing his essential self along the way.
Yet even in the depths of his tyranny, there's that moment with the doctor about Lady Macbeth.
Yes. That flash of desperation, throw physic to the dogs, oh, none of it, if the doctor can't cure her mind. It shows this lingering connection, perhaps love, perhaps just desperate codependency, but it's a flicker of something human amidst the monstrosity. It makes him complex, not just a cardboard villain.
Okay, let's turn to Lady Macbeth. She's such a powerhouse, especially early on.
Definitely the initial driving force. She's the architect of the plan, the one who manipulates Macbeth's sense of honor and masculinity to push him towards regicide.
She really redefines manliness for him, doesn't she? Equating it with ruthlessness, with action, however brutal.
She completely twists it. When he hesitates, expressing moral concerns, she attacks his courage, his love for her, even questions his manhood. It's incredibly manipulative, shaming him into committing the murder to prove himself a man in her eyes.
And her own desire to suppress her humanity is just chilling, that unsex me here speech.
It's one of the most powerful and disturbing moments. Her appeal to the spirits to fill her with direst cruelty, to block out remorse and compunctious visitings of nature. She's actively trying to become inhuman, to sever herself from empathy, compassion, anything that might make her waver.
She champions that idea of the false face, hiding true intentions.
Absolutely. Look like the innocent flower, but be the serpent under it. That's her mantra. The irony, of course, is that her own true self, the part consumed by guilt, eventually breaks through, but only when her conscious control slips during the sleepwalking. That's when the mask falls off.
And that breakdown, the sleepwalking, the hand-washing,
Yeah.
it's the ultimate manifestation of that guilt.
It's devastating. Out, damn spot. All the perfumes of Arabia will not sweeten this little hand. This obsessive, futile attempt to cleanse herself physically from a moral stain. It's so powerful it gave rise to the term Macbeth effect in psychology, that link between moral impurity and the desire for physical cleansing. It shows the guilt is literally unbearable.
It's interesting how her influence fades over the course of the play.
It really does. As Macbeth becomes more steeped in blood, more independently tyrannical, he seems to need her less. He plans Banquo's murder without consulting her fully. Her power wanes as his brutality grows. She, who unleashed the monster, finds she can no longer control him.
And her death. Offstage,
Yeah.
possibly suicide. It feels like a tragic end to her arc.
It does. Some see it as the inevitable consequence of her transgressing traditional gender roles, her ambition leading to self-destruction in a patriarchal world. Others view it as a commentary on the destructive potential of denying women agency, forcing their ambitions into dark channels. Either way, it's a bleak end.
Now, Banquo. He's set up as Macbeth's opposite in many ways.
Very much the moral foil. And interestingly, Shakespeare changed history here. The real Banquo was supposedly involved in Duncan's murder, But Shakespeare makes him noble, loyal, and skeptical.
Why the change?
Mostly flattery for King James I. James traces lineage back to Banquo, so making Banquo a virtuous figure implicitly praised the king's own ancestry and legitimacy, a smart political move by Shakespeare.
And unlike Macbeth, Banquo is wary of the witches from the start.
Immediately. He questions their motives, calls them instruments of darkness, warns that they might tell us truths, only to betray us later. He represents a clear-eyed moral perspective, resisting the temptation that Macbeth dives headfirst into.
But his prophecy about his sons becoming kings, that makes him a threat to Macbeth.
A huge dynastic threat. It's the reason Macbeth feels his crown is fruitless, and ultimately the motivation behind Banquo's murder. Even though Banquo himself does nothing treacherous, his predicted lineage makes him dangerous in Macbeth's paranoid eyes.
And his ghost. Such a powerful theatrical device.
Incredible. The ghost at the banquet isn't just a spooky moment. It's the literal embodiment of Macbeth's guilt crashing into his public life. It externalizes his inner torment and creates that fantastic dramatic irony where we see what haunts him while others just see him losing his grip.
Okay, moving on to Macduff. The ultimate hero of the piece, perhaps.
He certainly emerges as the primary agent of justice, the noble avenger. He's suspicious of Macbeth early on, refusing to attend his coronation, which leads him to eventually flee to England.
Which his wife, Lady Macduff, tragically misunderstands.
She does. She sees it as abandonment, as madness, unable to grasp the political danger or the principles driving him. It's a painful human misunderstanding with horrific consequences.
Consequences being the murder of his entire family.
Yes, that utterly senseless act transforms Macduff's opposition from political principle into a deeply personal, burning quest for vengeance. It's the fuel for his final confrontation with Macbeth.
And Malcolm's advice to him, give sorrow words. But Macduff's response.
It's so powerful. Macduff insists he must feel it as a man, acknowledge the full depth of his grief before he can fight like a man. He doesn't suppress his sorrow, he channels it into righteous action. It shows his profound humanity.
And ultimately, he's the one who fulfills the prophecy, the loophole.
He is. By revealing he was untimely ripped from his mother's womb, born via C-section, he exposes the witch's equivocation and shatters Macbeth's last defense. He's the instrument of fate, or perhaps justice, delivering the final blow. He really embodies nobility and incorruptibility against Macbeth's tyranny.
Finally, the Weird Sisters. The witches. What exactly are they?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? They're definitely a core supernatural element, creating this atmosphere of mystery, dread, horror right from the start. Remember, weird connects to weird to fate.
And their first lines, fair is foul and foul is fair, sets the whole tone.
It's the motto of the play, in a way. Establishes the moral ambiguity, the deceptive nature of appearances, this inversion of normal values. Some call it a satanic inversion. Everything is upside down in Macbeth's world.
But do they control Macbeth's fate, or just nudge him?
That's the crucial debate. They seem to function more as catalysts. They don't force him, they tempt him, they provoke him, they tap into his existing ambition. As one critic put it, they excite the vague fear of hidden forces operating on minds. Their prophecies lead him to draw false conclusions, driving his actions, but the actions themselves are his choices.
So they present the possibility, but he walks through the door himself.
Precisely. It preserves his free will, which makes the tragedy arguably even greater. He wasn't just a puppet of fate.
And their presence definitely catered to King James I's interests.
Oh, hugely. James was obsessed with witchcraft. He wrote demonology. He personally oversaw witch trials like North Berwick, where dozens were tortured and killed. Shakespeare depicting powerful, malevolent witches aligned perfectly with the king's views and feels. It was definitely in part flattery.
There's also that gender aspect, right? Them and Lady Macbeth.
Yes, they both represent an inversion of normative gender roles. The witches are bearded, ambiguous. Lady Macbeth tries to reject her femininity. Some feminist critics see them embodying a kind of malignant maternal power. But ultimately, the play ends with Malcolm restoring a more traditional patriarchal order, suggesting these inversions are part of the chaos that needs correcting.
Okay, so we've got the plot, the characters. Let's talk about the big ideas, the themes that make Macbeth still resonate so strongly today. Ambition is the big one, right?
Absolutely central. Unchecked ambition is the engine driving the whole tragedy. Sparked by the prophecy, fueled by manipulation, it sends Macbeth down that path into tyranny, into that river of blood.
And it shows how corrosive power can be.
Definitely. His pursuit and seizure of power lead directly to his moral decay, his paranoia, his isolation. That image Angus uses Macbeth wearing the kingship like a giant's robe upon a dwarfish thief. It perfectly captures how ill-fitting, how unnatural, immorally gained power is. It's inherently unstable and destructive.
So it's a timeless warning about leadership, about power itself.
A universal cautionary tale. You see echoes of it throughout history and even in modern politics. The idea that absolute power can corrupt absolutely. Macbeth is Exhibit A.
And tied closely to that is the theme of guilt. Its psychological impact is just overwhelming in the play.
It's visceral. The hallucinations for Macbeth, the dagger, the ghost, Lady Macbeth's compulsive hand-washing, they can't escape the filthy witness of their deeds, the internal stain.
Macbeth's mind full of scorpions.
Yeah.
Lady Macbeth's descent into madness. It's the torment of conscience made real.
Exactly. Their attempts to physically cleanse themselves, that Macbeth effect, highlight this desperate, futile struggle against an unbearable moral burden. The mind itself becomes diseased by guilt.
And it connects to that idea of needing to express grief, right? Malcolm's advice.
Give sorrow words. The grief that does not speak whispers the o'er-fraught heart and bids it break. Lady Macbeth's repressed guilt literally breaks her. It's a powerful psychological insight.
Then there's that eternal question. Fate versus free will. How much is Macbeth responsible?
It's a core tension. The witches offer the temptation, the blueprint, but Macbeth makes the choices. Banquo's warning explicitly points out that individuals have agency in how they respond to these instruments of darkness. He chooses caution. Macbeth chooses action.
Macbeth himself seems torn initially. Cannot be ill, cannot be good.
Right, he recognizes the ambiguity, the undecidable nature of their words. It suggests that while external forces might present opportunities or temptations, it's our internal moral compass, our choices, that determine the path we take.
So the tragedy unfolds because of his choices, not just because it was written.
Precisely. It's a powerful demonstration of how individual decisions and moral compromises shape outcomes, even when destiny seems to play a hand. We are responsible for the consequences of our actions.
The play also explores the disruption of order, natural, political, even gender order.
Yes, Duncan's murder is presented as a crime against the divine and natural order. The cosmic backlash, the storms, the weird animal behavior reflects the Jacobean belief that the king's moral state affected the universe. Regicide sickened the world.
And we talked about the inverted gender roles with the witches and Lady Macbeth.
Right. They challenged the norms. Lady Macbeth's "unsex me" here, her initial dominance, it represents a disruption, though as we noted, the play ultimately restores the traditional patriarchal order with Malcolm.
And that image of the giant's robe, again reinforcing his unnatural, ill-fitting rule.
It all ties together. His illegitimate rule disrupts the entire kingdom, throwing everything out of balance until the rightful order is restored.
And finally, that pervasive theme. Appearance versus reality.
It starts with fair is foul and foul is fair and runs through the entire play. It's the foundational paradox. Nothing is quite what it seems.
Lady Macbeth's innocent flower serpent undertow is the perfect example.
It is. But we also see it in Macbeth's feigned grief. His false toasts, the constant need for characters to hide their false hearts behind a fairest show. Deceit and hypocrisy are everywhere.
Even Macbeth's hallucinations blur that line, don't they?
Absolutely. His internal state, his guilt, his paranoia literally distorts his perception of reality. What's real versus what's imagined becomes terrifyingly unclear, showing how a guilty conscience can twist the world around you.
Beyond the themes, the language itself is just so iconic. So many famous lines.
Oh, absolutely. Shakespeare packed this play with unforgettable language. Fair is foul and foul is fair, right at the start, setting that tone of moral chaos.
Look like the innocent flower, but be the serpent unturned, the essence of their manipulative strategy.
Macbeth's early, "I dare do all that may become a man, who dares do more is none." His initial definition of honorable manhood, which gets so brutally twisted.
Is this a dagger which I see before me? That haunting image of guilt materializing.
Sleep no more. Macbeth does murder sleep. The immediate, profound consequence of his act, loss of peace, innocence.
Will all great Neptune's ocean wash this blood clean from my hand? The sheer scale of his guilt, the sense that it's indelible.
Full of scorpions is my mind. Such a vivid, chilling metaphor for his paranoia and mental torment.
His chilling realization. I am in blood, stepped in so far. The point of no return.
Lady Macbeth's, "Out, damned spot! Out, I say!" The agony of her guilt breaking through.
And all the perfumes of Arabia will not sweeten this little hand. The permanence of the stain.
Angus describing Macbeth's title hanging loose about him like a giant's robe upon a dwarfish theme. Perfect image of illegitimacy.
And of course, tomorrow, and tomorrow, and tomorrow. That devastating reflection on life's futility.
Each line is just packed with meaning and resonance.
And certain scenes just define the play. The witch's first prophecy, the spark.
Absolutely. The murder of Duncan, the point of no return, the dark heart of the play.
Banquo's ghost at the banquet, Macbeth's public unraveling.
Lady Macbeth's sleepwalking scene, the tragic culmination of her guilt.
And that final confrontation, Birnam Wood, Macduff's revelation, Macbeth's defeat, the whole structure is built around these pivotal moments.
There are masterclasses in dramatic tension and psychological revelation.
So, wrapping this all together, how does Macbeth still speak to us today? What's its timeless resonance?
Well, it's undeniably a timeless political cautionary tale, isn't it? The warning against unchecked ambition, the corrupting influence of power, those themes are constantly relevant, whether we're looking at world leaders or even dynamics in, say, a workplace.
And the psychological battle is so universal. Guilt, paranoia, the consequences of bad choices.
Exactly. The play delves so deeply into the internal struggles that accompany immoral acts. We all face temptations, we all make compromises, and Macbeth shows the potentially devastating cost in an extreme but relatable way. That Macbeth effect shows its insights into guilt are still recognized today.
And there's a sense of inevitable justice, isn't there? That moral order will eventually reassert itself.
Yes, the idea that what's done cannot be undone, but also that actions have consequences. As one source put it, whatever our motives may be, in the end they will come back to haunt us. There's a sense that the universe, or perhaps just human society, strives to correct such profound disruptions.
We can't finish without touching on the Scottish play's superstition again. It's fascinating how that persists.
It really is. That theatrical reluctance to say Macbeth in a theater, the stories of curses and accidents linked to using supposed real spells, it adds another layer of mystique to the play.
It connects back to that historical context, King James's obsession with witchcraft.
Absolutely. Shakespeare was tapping into very real fears and beliefs of his time. The witches weren't just dramatic devices, they represented a genuine perceived threat for the Jacobean audience, making the play incredibly potent and terrifying for them. And it was definitely smart politics to align with the king's known interests.
It's also worth remembering, Shakespeare wasn't writing a history textbook. He shaped the facts.
Right. The real Macbeth ruled for 17 years, apparently quite effectively. Shakespeare distorted history for dramatic effect, creating a more stark moral conflict, a more compelling tragedy. He was crafting a story about human nature, using history as his canvas.
And the play's legacy lives on in countless adaptations.
Oh, endlessly. From Polanski's gritty medieval version to Kurosawa's incredible Throne of Blood, transposing it to feudal Japan with no influences, exploring those cycles of violence.
To more recent films, like Justin Kurzel's visually striking but bleak take, each generation finds new ways to interpret it.
And scholars continue to dissect it from every angle: psychological, theological, deconstructionist, historicist, even using computational tools now to analyze the language. It just keeps offering new layers of meaning.
So Macbeth, it really remains this chilling, profound exploration of ambition's dark side, the crushing weight of guilt, and that complex dance between choice and what feels like fate.
Its characters are unforgettable, its moral warnings stark, and its themes just resonate across the centuries. A truly unsettling masterpiece.
So here's a final thought for you to ponder. When a prophecy offers a glimpse of power and the darkness of human nature is revealed, does understanding the story's end change the journey, or simply illuminate its inescapable path?
How much of what's done cannot be undone is truly fate, and how much is merely the echo of our own deepest and sometimes darkest desires?